You are here because you are trapped in a war you cannot win. You believe that life is a series of problems to be solved, obstacles to be overcome, and fires to be extinguished. This belief is the source of all your suffering. It is a lie. Problems are not meant to be solved. They are meant to be dissolved. This audiobook will not give you new strategies to fight your battles. It will give you the inner stillness that makes the battle unnecessary. The Peaceful Mind formula is not about winning the war. It's about realizing the war was never real to begin with.
Chapter 1. Your obsession with solving is the real problem. Let's begin with the truth you have been conditioned your entire life to ignore. What you believe to be your greatest strength is in fact your deepest wound. You identify as a problem solver. You wear it like a badge of honor. When things go wrong, you are the one who steps in, the fixer, the strategist, the one who brings order from chaos. You believe this is your value. You believe this is what makes you indispensable. I am here to tell you that this identity has become a cage. Your obsession with solving is not the solution, it is the source of your problems. You've been taught that a successful life is measured by the number of problems you overcome. A difficult project at work, a conflict in a relationship, a financial hurdle. You line them up like trophies on a shelf. But you never stop to ask the most important question. Why are there always more trophies to collect? Why is the supply of problems infinite? Because you are looking for them. Your mind conditioned to be a problem-solving machine cannot sit idle. It needs a target, a mission, a fire to extinguish. And if there is no fire, it will smell smoke where there is only air. It will see a threat where there is only a challenge. It will manufacture a crisis out of a simple circumstance. Think of a firefighter, a hero, dedicated to rushing into burning buildings. We admire their courage, but what happens when the firefighter becomes addicted to the alarm? At first, the bell is a call to duty. Then it becomes a rush, the adrenaline, the sense of purpose, the validation of being needed. Soon he finds the silence between alarms unbearable. Peace begins to feel like a void. So he starts listening for the alarm. He begins to hope for it. At home, the smell of burning toast sends a jolt of panic and excitement through him. He hears a distant siren and his heart races, hoping it's for him. Eventually, his mind, desperate for a fix, begins to manufacture the crisis. He sees a wisp of steam from a vent and calls it smoke. He sees a barbecue in a neighbor's yard and imagines an inferno. He has become so identified with his role as a firefighter that he needs fire to exist. This is you. This is your mind when you check your work email at 10 o'clock at night, not out of necessity, but because you are hunting for a problem to solve. This is you when you analyze every word in a text message, searching for a hidden conflict you feel compelled to fix. This is you when you look at a peaceful, stable period in your life and think, it's too quiet, something must be wrong. That's the key. Your system has been so conditioned by the stress of solving that it mistakes peace for apathy. It mistakes stillness for stagnation. You have a choice. You can continue to live like the addicted firefighter, constantly searching for the next blaze, or you can begin the profound work of rewiring your mind. It's not about being better at solving problems. It's about cultivating a state of being where problems cease to arise in the first place. You must understand this fundamental shift. You are not a problem solver, you are a peace cultivator. The problem solver sees a weed in the garden and immediately rips it out, disturbing the soil, creating a frantic energy of opposition. The peace cultivator understands that the health of the entire garden, the quality of the soil, the sunlight, the water, is what truly matters. When the garden is in perfect balance, weeds have no place to grow. The energy is not spent fighting the weed. It is invested in nurturing the environment. Your mind is that garden. For years you have been frantically ripping out weeds, only to find more grow back, because you have been neglecting the soil, your internal state, your peace. Why do we do this? Why do we cling so desperately to this broken identity? Because it makes us feel important. The ego thrives on problems. It tells itself, if I am the one solving a big, complicated problem, then I must be a big, important person. The chaos gives us a false sense of purpose. The stress gives us a false sense of being alive. We have been taught that a calm life is a boring life, an unaccomplished life. This is a lie, one designed to keep you running on a hamster wheel of anxiety and fleeting validation. You don't need permission to get off that wheel. You don't need anyone to validate your choice for peace. The validation from solving is a cheap drug. The deep, unshakable strength you gain from cultivating peace is the foundation of a truly powerful life. So, what is the first step? It is not a grand gesture. It is a simple, quiet act of awareness. For the next 24 hours, your only task is this: notice the addiction. That's it. When you feel that familiar urge to jump on a problem, to fire off that reactive email, to overanalyze a situation, to worry about a future that hasn't happened, I want you to simply stop. Don't act, don't engage. For just a few seconds, silently label the feeling. Say to yourself, there it is, the hunt, the addiction to solving. By doing this, you create a space between the stimulus and your reaction. In that space lies your freedom. In that space, you begin to see that the fire is not as large as you thought. In fact, most of the time, you will realize there was no fire at all. There was only your addiction looking for a fix. This is the beginning of the great unraveling, the process of detaching your identity from the chaos you thought you were born to control. It is the moment you stop being the firefighter and start becoming the fortress, calm, centered, and unmoved by the sirens of the world. Remember the central truth of this entire journey. You are not a problem solver, you are a peace cultivator. Your goal is not to win the fight, but to make the fight unnecessary. You have now learned to identify the true enemy, not the problems themselves, but your compulsive need to engage with them. You have taken the first step in starving the addiction. But identifying it is one thing. How do you stand in the presence of a real crisis, a genuine challenge, and not be consumed by it? How do you watch the storm rage without becoming the storm itself? That requires a new discipline of the mind, a new skill, the very foundation of true emotional mastery. That is what we will build in Chapter 2. Observe, don't absorb.
Chapter 2. Observe, don't absorb. In the last chapter, we identified the enemy. It is not the world outside of you. It is the addiction inside of you. The addiction to solving. The addiction to the fight. You now understand that your mind has been trained to hunt for problems. But awareness is only the first step. It is the diagnosis. Now, we begin the treatment. The treatment is a single, powerful skill. If you master this one discipline, the entire landscape of your inner world will change. It is the practice of observing, not absorbing. Think of it this way. You go to a movie theater. You sit down in a comfortable chair. The lights dim. On the screen, a story unfolds. There is drama, conflict, perhaps a car chase or a heated argument. Your heart rate might increase. You might feel a surge of tension or fear or excitement. The movie is designed to elicit these feelings. But at no point do you forget who you are. You do not stand up, jump onto the stage, and attempt to fight the villain yourself. You do not believe the explosions on the screen will harm you in your seat. Why? Because you understand that you are the observer. The drama is happening on the screen, separate from you. You can experience the emotions it creates without becoming a victim of the events it portrays. You are watching the storm. You are not in it. This is the state of mind you will learn to cultivate for your own life. Right now, you are not the person in the theater seat.
You are the actor on the screen who has forgotten they are in a movie. You believe every conflict is real. You believe every threat is fatal. You have completely fused your identity with the drama unfolding around you. When your boss sends a critical email, you don't just read the criticism, you become the failure. When a loved one is angry, you don't just witness their anger, you absorb it and make it your own crisis. This is absorption. It is the act of letting the external world collapse your internal world. It is the surrender of your peace. You have a choice to continue to be the frantic actor or to become the calm, powerful observer. That's the key. The events of your life are the movie. Your consciousness is the screen, and your true self, the real you, is the one sitting in the audience watching. The goal is to return to that seat. How is this done? It begins with a simple but radical act, creating separation through language. When you feel a rush of anger, your conditioned response is to think, "I am angry." That statement is a lie. It is a statement of fusion. You have merged your entire identity, the vast, complex reality of your being, with a temporary neurochemical event in your brain. The observer does not do this. The observer creates a space. Instead of "I am angry," the observer states the objective fact. There is a feeling of anger present. Do you feel the difference? The first statement is an identity. The second is an observation. "I am" is a prison. "There is" a perspective. One is absorption, the other is awareness. Let's apply this. A financial worry enters your mind. The old way, "I am broke, I am ruined." Your body floods with cortisol. Your mind spirals into catastrophic futures. You have absorbed the problem. You have become the problem. The new way, you stop, you breathe, you take a mental step back and narrate the fact. There is a thought about a financial challenge. There is a feeling of fear in my body. You are no longer the victim drowning in the waves. You are the lighthouse keeper, standing on solid rock, watching the storm crash below. You can see the storm clearly, precisely because you are not in it. Observe the storm. Do not become the storm. This is not about denial. This is not about pretending the problems aren't there. The movie is still playing. The storm is still raging. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to let reality define your internal state. You don't need permission to maintain your peace in the middle of chaos. You have that power right now. The world will tell you this is weak, that you have to be all in, emotionally invested, and consumed by the fight. This is the lie that keeps the machine of anxiety running. True power is not in the frantic reaction. True power is in the stillness of the observer. The observer sees the whole board. The absorber only sees the piece right in front of them. The observer makes strategic decisions. The absorber makes emotional mistakes. Your practice for this chapter is simple, but it will be difficult. For the next week, you will become a scientist of your own inner world. Every time a strong emotion or a problem arises, you will perform 3 steps. 1. Pause. Do not react instantly. The space between stimulus and response is where your power lives. 2. Narrate. Use the language of observation. There is anxiety. There is a difficult conversation to be had. There is a feeling of being overwhelmed. Detach the event from your identity. 3. Observe. Simply watch the feeling or the thought for 60 seconds without judgment. Watch it as you would watch a cloud in the sky. Notice its texture, its intensity. Notice how it changes. Notice that it is not you. It is just a weather pattern passing through your awareness. By doing this, you are retraining your brain neuron by neuron. You are weakening the old pathways of absorption and strengthening the new pathways of observation. You are reclaiming your seat in the theater. You are learning that you are the sky, not the weather. The sky is unaffected by the storms that pass through it. The peace of the sky is constant. The storm is temporary. Observe the storm. Do not become the storm. You have now learned to see the real problem, which is your addiction to solving, and you have been given the foundational tool to break that addiction, the discipline of observation. You are learning to stand apart from the chaos. But this practice, this act of observation requires a clean, quiet space to work effectively. Trying to observe from within a mind that is filled with constant noise, chatter, and narration is like trying to watch a movie in a theater where everyone is shouting. It is impossible. To truly master observation, you must first master the environment in which it happens. You must build a shelter, a place the noise cannot touch. That is why we must now forge Chapter 3, the Fortress of Inner Silence.
Chapter 3, the Fortress of Inner Silence. You have identified the addiction. You have learned the technique of observation. You are separating yourself from the storm. But you may have already noticed a powerful obstacle, the noise. The endless, relentless chatter of your own mind. The internal narrator who never stops talking. The voice that analyzes, judges, critiques, worries, and catastrophizes every single event you are trying to observe. Trying to practice detached observation in a mind like this is futile. It's like trying to find peace in the middle of a factory floor. The world has sold you a lie about power. It has told you that power is about having the best argument, the cleverest comeback, the most detailed plan. It has trained you to believe that the person who thinks the most, analyzes the most, and speaks the most wins. This is false. True power is not found in the noise. It is forged in the silence. The problem isn't that you don't have the answers. The problem is you cannot hear them over the sound of your own mental machinery. Understand this: 99% of a problem's power is a gift you give it. You feed it with your attention. You fuel it with your narration. An uncomfortable email lands in your inbox. The event itself is neutral. It is just pixels on a screen. But then the noise begins. The narration. This is a disaster. My boss hates me. I'm going to get fired. How could they say that? I should have done this differently. Within seconds, you have built an entire narrative of doom around a simple event. The problem did not do that. Your noise did. You took a small spark and poured gasoline on it with your thoughts. Silence starves the problem. Silence denies it the fuel it needs to grow into a monster. A mind that can access silence can see a problem for what it is, a circumstance, not a catastrophe. Imagine a perfectly still, clear pond. If you toss a small pebble into it, you can see the pebble, the ripples, the effect, all with perfect clarity. Now imagine that same pond during a torrential downpour. The surface is chaotic, churning. If you toss a pebble in now, you see nothing. You cannot distinguish the new ripple from the existing chaos. Your mind is that pond. The constant noise is the downpour. The world will keep throwing pebbles in. That is not within your control. But you can learn to stop the rain. You can learn to return the surface of your mind to a state of perfect, reflective stillness. This is not a metaphor. This is a practical, trainable skill. We will build what I call the fortress of inner silence. A fortress is not built during a battle. It is built brick by brick, day by day, during times of peace, so that when the battle comes, its walls are impenetrable. How do we lay the first brick? It starts with intentional, scheduled silence. This is non-negotiable. For 10 minutes, every single day, you will sit in a quiet place. No phone, no music, no podcasts, no distractions. You will simply sit, and you will do nothing but focus on the physical sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. At first, this will feel like torture. Your mind, the addicted problem solver, will rebel. It will scream at you with 1,000 important thoughts, a to-do list, a worry, a memory. It will feel impossible.
That's the key. The goal is not to stop the thoughts. You cannot win a direct fight against your own mind. The goal is to notice the thoughts and then gently and without judgment, return your attention to your focus. You are every time a thought hooks you and pulls you away, the moment you realize it has happened, you have won. That moment of realization is a repetition for the muscle of awareness. You simply acknowledge the thought, oh, there is the noise again, and you guide your attention back to the physical sensation of breathing. Think of it like training a puppy. You tell the puppy to sit, it gets distracted by a butterfly and runs off. You do not scream at the puppy, you do not punish it. You simply patiently and firmly guide it back to the spot and tell it to sit again, and again, and again. Your mind is that puppy. Your breath is the spot. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. In those 10 minutes of practice, you are doing something profound. You are teaching your mind that you are the master, not the servant. You are creating a clear distinction between you, the conscious observer, and the noise of your thoughts. You are proving to yourself day after day that you do not have to engage with every thought that appears in your head. You have a choice, to be swept away by the current of your thinking or to stand on the riverbank and watch it flow by. This daily practice builds the riverbank. This fortress has a second component, silence in action. Throughout your day, you must hunt for moments to reclaim silence. When you are driving, turn off the radio. Just drive. When you are walking, take out your headphones. Just walk. When you are waiting in line, put your phone in your pocket. Just wait. These small acts are rebellions against the modern world's demand that every second of your awareness be filled with noise and stimulation. Each moment of chosen silence is another brick in the wall of your fortress. It is a declaration that your peace is more important than another piece of information or another distraction. You are not doing this to be passive. You are doing this to become powerful. From a place of inner silence, decisions are clearer, actions are more precise, words are more meaningful. When you operate from a center of quiet, you are no longer reacting to the world's chaos. You are acting from your own core of stability. The noise will tell you this is a waste of time. It will say you are falling behind. Do not believe it. The person who can access inner silence in a moment of high pressure is the most powerful person in the room, always. You have now begun to build your fortress. You understand that silence is not emptiness, but the prerequisite for clarity. You are learning to quiet the internal noise so that you can observe the world as it truly is. But as you sit in this newfound quiet, you will begin to notice something else. Subtle signals rising to the surface now that they are no longer drowned out by the noise. Feelings, emotions, anger, fear, anxiety. These feelings are often the very things that trigger the noise in the first place. How do we deal with them? Do we ignore them? Suppress them? No. We learn to use them. We learn to see them not as enemies of our peace, but as messengers. That is the next layer of your training. We will decode these signals in Chapter 4. Emotions are data, not directives.
Chapter 4. Emotions are data, not directives. You are building your fortress of silence. You are learning to quiet the relentless noise of your mind. But as the external and internal chatter begins to fade, something else will become more noticeable, more clear. Emotion. A sudden wave of anxiety, a hot flash of anger, a cold grip of fear. For most of your life, you have had one of two relationships with these feelings. You either become their slave, or you try to become their executioner. You either obey their every command without question, lashing out in anger or retreating in fear, or you try to suppress them, numb them, and pretend they don't exist, only to have them fester in the dark and erupt later with even greater force. Both of these strategies are born from a fundamental misunderstanding of what an emotion actually is. Both will lead you to ruin. Today, we install a new operating system, a new relationship with your emotional self. The foundation of this system is a simple, powerful truth. Emotions are data, not directives.
Think of the dashboard in your car. It is covered in gauges and indicator lights. If you are driving and the check engine light comes on, what do? Do you immediately swerve off the road, abandon the car, and declare your journey a failure? Do you obey the light as if it were a divine command to panic? No, that would be insane. Do you take out a piece of black tape and cover the light, pretending it isn't there? Do you try to destroy the signal? No, that would be foolish and destructive. A sane, rational driver does neither. They see the light, and they interpret it for what it is: data. The light is simply information. It is a signal from the car's system that says, attention is required here at some point. The light is not a command, it is a notification. The driver receives the data, remains calm, and makes a conscious, strategic decision about what to do next. Maybe they pull over. Maybe they decide to drive to the next service station. The key is that the driver is in control, not the blinking light. Your emotions are your dashboard lights. Anger is a check engine light. It is a signal, a piece of data that tells you one of your boundaries has likely been crossed or an expectation has been violated. Fear is the low fuel light. It is data that says you are perceiving a potential threat to your safety or resources. Anxiety is the tire pressure warning. It is data signaling that you are focused on an uncertain future and are perceiving a lack of control. That is all they are: data points, neurochemical signals. They are not orders from a general. They are not the voice of God. They are not the absolute truth. They are simply internal weather reports. You have been living your life as the insane driver. When the anger light flashes, you immediately swerve into a ditch of rage and reaction. When the fear light flashes, you abandon the journey altogether. You have given these blinking lights complete authority over your life. You have a choice. You can remain the slave of your dashboard, or you can become the driver of your vehicle. Acknowledge the data. Disregard the drama. How do you practice this? It is an extension of the observation skill you are already building. When you feel a powerful emotion rising, you will perform a 3-step process of data collection. First, label the data. Instead of saying, "I am angry," you will use the language of observation you learned before. There is a signal of anger present. Use the word signal or data intentionally. This immediately frames the experience correctly. It is not you. It is a piece of information you are receiving. Second, locate the data. Close your eyes for a moment and scan your physical body. Where is the signal showing up? Is it a tightness in your chest? A heat in your face? A knot in your stomach? Emotions are physical events. By focusing on the physical sensation, you anchor yourself in the objective reality of the data, rather than getting lost in the subjective story the data is tempting you with. Third, inquire about the data. This is the most crucial step. You ask a simple, non-judgmental question. To the anger, you ask, "What boundary was crossed here?" To the fear, you ask, "What am I perceiving as a threat?" To the anxiety, you ask, "What uncertain future am I trying to control?" Notice you are not asking, "Why am I so angry?" or "What's wrong with me?" Those are questions of judgment that lead to a shame spiral. You are asking what the data is trying to tell you. You are approaching your own emotions with the calm, detached curiosity of a master strategist reading an intelligence report from the field. The report is not the battle. The data is not the directive. Let's see this in action. A colleague takes credit for your work in a meeting. The anger light flashes on your dashboard. The old you would absorb this. "I am furious." You would either lash out in the meeting, creating a scene, or you would suppress it, letting it fester into resentment for weeks. You would be a slave to the signal. The new you, the driver, does this. Step 1. You silently label it. There is a strong signal of anger. Step 2. You locate it.
I feel a heat in my chest and my jaw is tight. Step 3. You inquire. What data is this? A boundary of fairness and recognition has been crossed. Now you have valuable information. You are calm. You are in control. The emotional signal has been received and logged, but it has not been obeyed. You have acknowledged the data, but disregarded the drama. Now, from this place of quiet power, you can make a strategic decision. Maybe you address it calmly and professionally after the meeting. Maybe you document it. Maybe you realize it is not worth your energy. The point is, you get to decide. The blinking light doesn't. This is the path to emotional mastery. It is not about feeling nothing. It is about feeling everything, but being a slave to nothing. You don't need permission to feel anger and choose a calm response. You don't need to justify your fear before you decide to act with courage. Your emotions are your advisors, not your commanders-in-chief. You have begun building your fortress of silence, a space where you can clearly observe your thoughts. Now you are learning to interpret the signals that arise within that fortress, your emotions, as impartial data. But there is one last insidious element we must confront. It is the engine that generates most of our emotional reactions. It is the ghost in the machine, the source of the drama. It is the story, the narrative you write in your mind second by second. To truly dissolve our problems, we must become masters of separating fact from fiction. We must learn to see the world as it is, not as our stories tell us that it is. That is our next critical mission in Chapter 5, Detach from the Narrative.
Chapter 5. Detach from the narrative. You are learning to build the fortress. You are learning to read the data of your emotions. You are creating a quiet, stable center from which to observe the world. But as you stand in that fortress, you must become aware of the ghost within its walls, the propagandist, the storyteller, the voice that takes a simple fact and weaves it into a grand, dramatic, and almost always painful story. This is the narrator. And the single most destructive force in your life is the unchecked narrative it creates in your mind. You must understand the critical difference between an event and a narrative. An event is the raw, objective, undisputed fact of what happened. A narrative is the layer of meaning, judgment, and prediction that you wrap around that fact. The event is the photograph. The narrative is the caption you write underneath it. The event is, the email from my client says, we need to make some revisions. The narrative is, they hate my work, I'm going to lose this client, I'm a failure, I can't do anything right. The event is, my partner seems quiet tonight. The narrative is, they're mad at me, I must have done something wrong, our relationship is in trouble. The event is the tiny, harmless seed. The narrative is the poisonous, thorny vine that grows from it in seconds, choking out all peace and reason. The problem is not the seed. The problem is that you are an expert, unconscious farmer of these toxic vines. You have been conditioned to believe that your immediate story is the truth, that your first emotional interpretation is reality. This is a catastrophic lie. Your narrative is not reality. It is a work of fiction written in real time by the most fearful, insecure, and ego-driven part of your mind. And you have been letting this terrified, unqualified author dictate the terms of your entire life. Drop the story, face the fact. Let's be clear, the fact is almost always manageable. The fact is neutral. My employment at this company has ended. That is a fact. It is a circumstance to be navigated. But the story is my life is over. I am worthless. I have no future. That story is what creates the suffering. That story is what paralyzes you. The event did not paralyze you. The fiction you wrote about the event did. You have a choice. You can continue to be a passive consumer of your own mind's dramatic fiction, or you can become a ruthless editor. You can pick up the red pen and strike out every line that is not the absolute, verifiable truth.
Why is this so hard? Why does the mind rush to create the worst possible story? Because your ego loves to be the main character, and drama makes for a better story than peace. The ego would rather be the tragic hero of a catastrophe than a background character in a simple, calm life. The story of everything is fine is boring. The story of I am under attack and everything is falling apart makes the ego feel important. It gives the ego a problem to solve, a battle to fight, confirming the old, broken identity of the problem solver we talked about in Chapter 1. You don't need their permission, the permission of your ego or your fear to choose a different story, or even more powerfully, to choose no story at all. The master of the peaceful mind does not replace a negative story with a positive one. They simply refuse to write one until more facts are available. The text message says, "We need to talk." The absorber writes a novel of doom. The observer sees the fact and waits. They understand that they do not have enough information to write the story yet. They remain in the calm, powerful space of the unknown, free from self-inflicted torture. This is your new discipline. It is the practice of deconstruction. When you feel that familiar surge of anxiety or anger, the signal that a narrative has just been born, you will stop and perform this three-step mental process. First, isolate the unshakable fact. Ask yourself, what happened that a video camera would have recorded? Strip away every ounce of judgment, interpretation, and prediction. What are the raw, objective data points? He used a certain tone of voice. This project deadline was missed. That person has not responded to my message. Be brutally factual. Second, identify the narrative. Ask yourself what story my mind instantly created about this fact. Be honest. Write it down if you have to. The story is that I am being disrespected. The story is that I am about to be abandoned. The story is that I am not good enough. Acknowledge the fiction your mind has produced. Third, discard the narrative. This is the act of power. You look at the story you just identified and you say, this is a possibility, but it is not a fact. It is a guess. It is a piece of fiction. I will not build my emotional state on a foundation of fiction. You consciously and deliberately set the story aside. Drop the story. Face the fact. When you only have the fact to deal with, the path forward becomes infinitely clearer. The fact is manageable. The fog of drama and catastrophe lifts, and you can see the terrain for what it is. You are no longer fighting monsters in the dark. You are simply looking at a map in a well-lit room. This is not easy. Your narrator has been running the show for decades. It will fight back. It will tell you that you are being naive or irresponsible by not worrying. It will tell you that this story is for your own protection. Do not believe it. The narrator is not your protector. It is your jailer. Your freedom is not in writing a better story. It is in the realization that you don't have to write one at all. You now possess the tools to create an inner fortress of silence. You can decode your emotions as data, and you can dismantle the destructive narratives that create that data in the first place. You are creating a space of calm, objective clarity. But now you stand in that clear, quiet space facing the cold, hard fact. The world, your old conditioning, and everyone around you will scream the same thing. Don't just stand there. Do something. The pressure to react, to solve, to act immediately will be immense. This is the final trap, and avoiding it requires the most counterintuitive and powerful discipline of all. It requires a mastery of stillness in a world that worships motion. This is the master's move, the discipline we will forge in Chapter 6, the power of intentional inaction.
Chapter 6, The Power of Intentional Inaction. You have arrived at a place of profound power. You have silenced the noise. You have decoded the data of your emotions. You have dismantled the false narrative. You now stand in a clear, quiet space, looking at the cold, hard fact of a situation. And in this moment, every cell in your body, every lesson society has ever taught you, every instinct of your anxious ego will scream at you with a single, unified command. Act. Do something. Fix it. Respond. Solve it. Now. The world worships action. It equates speed with competence and motion with progress. It has taught you that to be still in the face of a problem is to be weak, passive, or indecisive. This teaching is not just wrong, it is the very thing that perpetuates the cycle of chaos you are trying to escape. We're here to learn the master's move, the most misunderstood, counterintuitive, and devastatingly effective strategy in the entire arsenal of the peaceful mind. The discipline of intentional inaction. Let's be very clear. This is not about apathy. It is not about procrastination. It is not about freezing in fear. Apathy is the inability to care. Inaction is a conscious, deliberate, strategic choice to allow a situation to ripen before you engage. It is the understanding that most problems do not require an immediate solution. They require time and space to reveal their true nature. Your compulsion to act immediately is not a sign of strength. It is a symptom of your inner turmoil. You are not acting to solve the problem. You are acting to soothe your own anxiety. Your frantic activity is a desperate attempt to quiet the discomfort you feel in the presence of an unresolved situation. You are not fixing the external issue, you are medicating your internal state with the drug of motion. Think of a master hunter in the forest. The amateur crashes through the undergrowth. He is all action, all motion. He snaps twigs, rustles leaves, and announces his presence to everything for miles. He is driven by a desperate need to find his prey, and in his frantic search, he ensures he will find nothing. He has contaminated the field with his own desperate energy. The master hunter does the opposite. He finds a strategic position, and he becomes perfectly still. He controls his breathing, his scent, his very presence. He does not hunt. He waits. He observes. He lets the forest settle. He lets the prey, unaware and undisturbed, reveal itself. His stillness is not passive. It is an active, coiled, and supremely powerful state of readiness. He understands that the right action at the right time is worth 1,000 frantic wrong actions. Your stillness is your strategy. It is not an absence of action. It is the crucible in which wise, effective, and powerful action is forged. You have now learned to create a space of silent observation, to read your emotional data, to discard false narratives, and to resist the urge to react impulsively. You're building a complete system for mental invincibility. But all of this is a defensive posture. It is about how you handle the problems that come to you. What about the problems you are unconsciously creating? The ones you are feeding and watering every single day without even realizing it. To achieve true peace, we must not only manage our reactions, we must manage our most precious resource, our attention. We must learn to where place our focus and where to starve it of energy. That is the crucial final step in dissolving problems. We will master it in Chapter 7. Stop watering the weeds.
Chapter 7. Stop watering the weeds. You are acquiring the skills of a master. You have built a fortress of silence. You have learned to observe the storm, decode your emotions, and dismantle the fictions of your mind. You have mastered the strategic power of inaction, creating a space of clarity where wisdom can emerge. These are the tools of an unbreakable defense. You have learned how to handle the chaos the world throws at you. But now we must turn from defense to offense. Because a fortress can protect you, but it cannot cultivate your life. It is not enough to stop reacting to problems. You must stop creating them. You must stop feeding them.
you must learn to manage the single most valuable resource you possess. It is not your time. It is not your money. It is your attention. Your attention is your life force. It is the currency of your reality. Whatever you pay attention to, you are buying more of. Whatever you focus on, you are feeding. This is not a metaphor. It is the fundamental law of the mind. And right now, you are spending your life force watering weeds. Imagine your life, your mind, is a magnificent garden. In this garden, there are flowers you wish to grow, your health, your peace of mind, your relationships, your craft, your purpose. There are also, inevitably, a few weeds, a past mistake you can't let go of, a person whose opinion of you is a constant source of irritation, a recurring financial worry, a perceived slight. The amateur gardener, the problem solver, does something insane. They wake up every morning, ignore the hundreds of beautiful blooming flowers, walk directly to the ugliest weed in the entire garden and stare at it. They get on their hands and knees and analyze it. They measure its growth. They complain about its thorns. They obsess over its existence. They spend all day, every day, pouring the precious water of their attention onto this one single weed. And then they are shocked when the weed grows stronger, taller, and more resilient, while their beautiful flowers begin to wilt and die from neglect. This is not a tragedy. It is a choice. You are that gardener. The annoyance at work only has power because you grant it your focus 3 hours a day. The resentment towards a family member only survives because you feed it with your mental replays of past arguments. The anxiety about the future only thrives because you water it with your imagination. These problems cannot survive without you. They will wither and starve in the darkness of your neglect. What you focus on, you fuel. Stop fueling the fires you wish to extinguish. Let the embers die out from lack of oxygen. Take that fuel and build a fire that warms you. Now you hold the key not just to managing your inner world, but to cultivating it. You understand that your focus determines your reality. You are learning to starve the problems and feed your peace. But there is a final, nagging question. What about the weeds you can't ignore? The chaos that comes from other people, the opinions, the judgments, the demands, the dramas that other people constantly try to throw over the fence and into your garden. How do you maintain your peace when the world seems determined to destroy it? This requires a radical form of mental sovereignty, a fearless detachment from the opinions and states of others. It requires you to embrace a truth that will set you completely free. That is the fortress wall we'll build in Chapter 8. Let the world be wrong.
Chapter 8. Let the world be wrong. You are learning to be the master of your own garden. You understand that your attention is the water, and you have committed to watering only the flowers. You are starving the weeds of your own creation through the powerful discipline of redirection. Your inner world is becoming a place of order, peace, and intentional cultivation. But there is a problem. Your garden has no fence, and the world is full of people who are constantly trying to throw their own weeds, their own chaos, their own drama over your wall. The unsolicited opinion, the unfair criticism, the ignorant comment, the emotional outburst of a colleague or a loved one. For years, you have operated under a silent, exhausting contract. You have believed that it is your job to run over and deal with every weed someone else throws into your life. You feel a compulsive need to correct, to argue, to educate, to manage their emotions, to fix their wrongness. You believe that your peace can only be restored when they finally see the light, when they agree with you, when they apologize, when they change. This belief is the source of endless misery. You are trying to control the uncontrollable. You are trying to calm a storm that is not yours. Today, you tear up that contract. You will learn the most liberating discipline of them all. You will build an impenetrable fortress wall, not of stone, but of profound detachment. You will learn to let the world be wrong. Let them be wrong about you. Let them be wrong about politics. Let them be wrong in their arguments. Let them be wrong in their assessment of your choices. Let them be wrong. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of ultimate power. It is the declaration that your inner peace is non-negotiable. It is the realization that your serenity is not contingent on external agreement. You are decoupling your state of being from the state of the world. Think of it this way. You're driving down the highway, calm, focused, moving towards your destination. Someone in another car, driving erratically, suddenly cuts you off. The amateur, the problem solver, immediately makes this their problem. They slam on the horn, they flash their lights, they get angry, they shout inside their car. They might even speed up to tailgate the other driver, engaging in a pointless, dangerous battle of wills. For the next 10 miles, their heart is pounding, their mind is consumed, and their peace is shattered. They have allowed someone else's chaos, a stranger's mistake, to become their own internal reality. The master does something different. They see the erratic driver, they calmly brake, creating a safe distance. They observe the event, that person is driving poorly, and then they do the most powerful thing of all. They let it go. They let them be wrong. They immediately return 100% of their attention to their own driving, their own music, their own destination. Within 5 seconds, the event is over. The other person's chaos was a pebble bouncing off the hull of a battleship. Their chaos is not your responsibility. You must burn this phrase into your mind. Your need to correct others is not a noble pursuit of truth. It is your ego's desperate attempt to control its environment. Your ego believes that if someone holds a wrong opinion, it somehow threatens your own right identity. To defend your position is to defend your very self. This is a fragile way to live. A person with a truly solid core does not need the world to agree with them. The mountain does not need the validation of the wind. It simply is. You will become the mountain. The discipline here is called the practice of release. It is an active, in-the-moment choice to conserve your life force. Whenever you feel that internal hook, that hot, urgent feeling that you must step in, correct, argue, or defend, you will perform these 2 steps. First, notice the hook. Recognize the sensation for what it is. It is your ego taking the bait. It is the siren song of a pointless battle. Simply say to yourself, there is the urge to engage. Second, recite the mantra and release. Silently, to yourself, you will say the words, their chaos is not my responsibility. As you say it, you will visualize a cord of energy connecting you to that person or situation. With your mind, you will cut that cord. You will consciously withdraw your focus. You will turn your attention back to your own breath, your own body, your own garden. Someone posts something ignorant online. You feel the hook. You type out a long, angry reply. Then you stop. You notice the hook. Their chaos is not my responsibility. Delete. You have just saved an hour of your life and an immeasurable amount of your peace. A family member brings up a tired, old argument. You feel the hook. You are about to bite. Then you stop. You notice. Their chaos is not my responsibility. You take a breath and you change the subject, or simply say, I'm not going to have this conversation. You have just protected your fortress. This will feel strange at first. People who are used to you engaging in their drama will be confused. They might even try to pull you back in. Let them. Your commitment is to your own serenity, not to their expectations of your engagement. You are not being rude. You are being sovereign. You have now learned to defend your garden from within and from without. You are starving your own weeds and refusing to water the weeds of others. You are becoming a sanctuary of peace in a world of noise. But a fortress, no matter how well defended, is only as strong as its foundations. All the techniques we have discussed, observation, silence, detachment, are like soldiers guarding the walls. They are essential,
But now we must go deeper. We must strengthen the walls themselves. We must move from a strategy of defense to a lifestyle of fortification. This is not about what you do when problems arise. This is about what you do every single day to become a person for whom problems are increasingly irrelevant. It is time to forge the very material of your character. It is time for Chapter 9, Build Your Unbreakable Core.
Chapter 9. Build Your Unbreakable Core. You have come a long way. You have learned the defensive arts of the peaceful mind. You have learned to silence the noise, observe the storm, and starve the weeds. You have built the outer walls of your fortress, learning to let the world's chaos bounce off of you. These are the strategies you use when the battle is at your doorstep. They are the tools for managing crisis. But now, we move beyond strategy. We move beyond tactics. We move to the very foundation of your being. It is not enough to know how to fight a storm. The ultimate goal is to become the mountain that is unmoved by any storm. This chapter is not about what to do when a problem arrives. It is about the person you must become, day by day, so that what once looked like a problem now looks like a minor weather event. We are no longer guarding the fortress. We are reinforcing its very foundations. We are going to build your unbreakable core. An unbreakable core is not a gift. It is not a personality trait. It is a result. It is the outcome of small, non-negotiable daily disciplines. It is forged in the quiet moments of your life, not in the loud moments of crisis. You do not build a seawall during a hurricane. You build it with relentless consistency on calm, sunny days. Discipline is the foundation of peace. Not motivation, not inspiration, not hope. Discipline. Discipline is the promise you make to yourself and then keep, regardless of how you feel. It is the act of choosing your highest values over your fleeting moods. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you are laying another stone in the foundation of your core. You are teaching your mind on a primal level that you are someone who can be trusted, that you are in command. The world has taught you that discipline is about punishment and restriction. This is a lie. Discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. It is the ultimate act of freedom. The undisciplined person is a slave to their whims, their moods, their appetites. The disciplined person is free to choose their response in any situation because they are not controlled by their impulses. We will focus on 3 core disciplines, the pillars of your new foundation. They are simple. They are not easy, but they are non-negotiable. The first pillar, discipline of the body. Your mind and body are not separate entities. They are a single integrated system. A weak, neglected body cannot house a strong, resilient mind. Period. You will choose one form of difficult physical exertion, and you will do it every single day. This is not about aesthetics. It is about willpower. It is about intentionally putting your body under voluntary stress, going for a run when you don't feel like it, lifting a weight that is heavy, holding a stretch that is uncomfortable. Every time you do this, you are sending a powerful message to your nervous system. I am in charge here. I can handle discomfort. I choose my actions. When you have proven to yourself that you can handle the self-imposed stress of a hard workout, the externally imposed stress of a difficult email or a rude comment becomes trivial in comparison. You have practiced being uncomfortable. You have built calluses on your mind. The second pillar, discipline of the mind. We have already laid the groundwork for this with the Fortress of Silence. Now we codify it. 10 minutes of focused meditation every day. No excuses. This is not a suggestion. It is a command. This daily practice is the gym for your attention. In a world that is designed to shatter your focus into 1,000 tiny pieces, your ability to hold your attention on one thing, your breath, is a superpower. This practice trains you to be the master of your awareness, not the slave of distraction. Furthermore, you will choose one thing to learn, a skill, an instrument, a language, something that requires deep,
focused work. For 15 minutes a day, you will engage in this practice. This trains your mind to find satisfaction not in cheap, easy dopamine hits from social media, but in the deep, earned satisfaction of focused effort and slow progress. You are rewiring your brain for depth in a shallow world. The third pillar, discipline of action. This is the principle of do it now. We are at war with the habit of procrastination, which is the ultimate enemy of a strong core. Procrastination is the act of breaking a promise to yourself. It erodes your self-trust. You will adopt this simple rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes to do, you do it immediately. Wash the cup as soon as you are done with it, put the tool away, answer the email. This small habit stops the buildup of mental clutter. For your most important task of the day, the one you are most likely to avoid, you will do it first, before anything else. This practice, known as eating the frog, builds incredible momentum. It proves to your mind that you are someone who does the hard things first. This builds a staggering amount of self-respect and eliminates the anxiety that comes from avoiding your responsibilities. Body, mind, action. These are your 3 pillars. Every day you practice them, your core gets denser, stronger, more stable. And a strange thing will start to happen. The outside world will not seem so loud anymore. The opinions of others will not seem so heavy. The daily problems and crises will seem smaller, more distant. It's not that the world has changed. It's that you have changed. You are no longer a leaf blown about by the wind. You are the mountain. Discipline is the foundation of peace. Not because it solves your problems, but because it builds a version of you for whom those problems are no longer a significant threat. You have now come full circle. You have learned the defensive strategies to manage chaos, and you have learned the offensive disciplines to build an unbreakable self. You have all the tools. You have the complete formula. So what is the result? What is the final outcome when you integrate all of these principles into your life? What does it look like when you no longer see the world as a series of problems to be solved, but as a space in which to exist peacefully? This is the final destination, the state of being where the entire premise of this journey becomes your new reality. This is what awaits you in our final chapter, Chapter 10. The final outcome: problems cease to exist.
Chapter 10. The final outcome. Problems cease to exist. We have reached the end of the path, but the beginning of your new reality. We began this journey with a radical premise, that the goal is not to solve your problems, but to dissolve them, to cultivate a state of being where they can no longer take root. You have been given the tools, the fortress of silence, the lens of observation, the wisdom to treat emotions as data, not directives. You have learned to dismantle the fictions of your mind, to wield the power of inaction, and to starve the weeds by mastering your attention. You have built a fence of sovereignty and laid a foundation of discipline. So what now? What is the final outcome? The outcome is not a life free from difficult circumstances. The world will still present challenges. The winds will still blow, and the storms will still gather. The final outcome is not a change in the world. It is a total and permanent transformation in you, the observer of the world. The final outcome is this: problems as you have known them cease to exist. What you used to call a problem was never just the external event. It was the event plus a cocktail of 3 toxic ingredients you added to it: your emotional reaction, your negative narrative, and your compulsive urgency to act. That cocktail was the poison. The event itself was neutral. But now, you have learned to neutralize those ingredients. A challenging situation arises. Before, it was a problem. Now, it is merely a situation. You meet it with silence, not noise. You meet it with observation, not absorption. You see the data of your emotions, but you are not commanded by them.
You see the facts, but you do not write a story around them. You pause. You let the muddy water settle. The entire category of problem begins to dissolve from your vocabulary and from your reality. In its place is a new, more powerful, and infinitely more peaceful framework. You no longer see problems. You see circumstances to be navigated. You see situations that require a response. You see questions to be answered. The emotional charge is gone. The drama is gone. The panic is gone. Think of a master sailor. The novice sailor sees the wind as a problem. They see the waves as an enemy. They fight the elements. Their journey is a constant, exhausting battle of resistance. They're trying to solve the problem of the wind. The master sailor does not see the wind as a problem. They see the wind as a condition, as a force, as a simple fact of reality. They have stopped fighting it. Instead, they have cultivated such a deep understanding of their ship, their sails, and the dynamics of the wind that they use the very force the novice is fighting against to move them forward effortlessly to their destination. The wind is the same. The waves are the same. The external reality has not changed. The difference is the internal mastery of the sailor. This is who you have become. You have stopped fighting the winds of life. You have learned to adjust your sails. You have learned that resistance is the source of all struggle, and that skillful navigation is the source of all peace. You did not solve the problem. You outgrew it. The person you were when you started this audiobook, the one who was addicted to solving, who was a slave to their reactions, who was haunted by their own narratives, that person would be crushed by the challenges you will now handle with grace. The challenges have not shrunk. Your core has expanded. When your foundation of discipline is solid, your inner state is no longer a fragile thing that needs to be protected from the world. It becomes a gravitational force that influences the world around you. People will notice your calm. They will be baffled by your lack of reactivity. Your stillness will become a source of strength, not just for you, but for those who look to you. This is the peaceful mind formula fully realized. It is a state of being where you are so rooted in your own core, so sovereign in your own mind, that the chaos of the world simply washes past you. You are no longer looking for a safe harbor from the storm. You have become the safe harbor. This is not a destination you arrive at once and for all. It is a state you choose to inhabit moment by moment through the continuous practice of the disciplines you have learned. It is the daily choice to water the flowers, the daily choice to let the world be wrong, the daily choice to build your core. The war is over, not because you won, but because you refused to fight. You laid down your arms. You walked off the battlefield of your own mind, and in doing so, you discovered that the peace you were fighting so desperately to win was there all along, buried underneath the noise, the drama, and the illusion that you needed to solve anything at all. Welcome home.
The war is over. The fighting has stopped. You came here looking for a better sword, for a stronger shield, but you are leaving with the knowledge that you need neither. Remember this. Your obsession with solving was the problem. You will now observe, not absorb. Emotions are data, not directives. You will drop the story and face the fact. Your stillness is your strategy. You will stop watering the weeds, and you will let the world be wrong about everything. You will do this by building an unbreakable core through daily, non-negotiable discipline. This is the peaceful mind formula. It is not a trick. It is not a theory. It is a transformation. The knowledge is now yours. The formula is in your mind. But knowledge without action is a dead thing. It is a forgotten book on a dusty shelf, useless. So your final challenge is this. A challenge not for tomorrow, but for right now, for today. The next time a problem arises, a stressful email, an annoying comment, a surge of anxiety, I command you to do nothing. Do not react. Do not analyze. Do not solve. For just 30 seconds, you will simply observe it. Watch it with the detached curiosity of a scientist. Watch the feeling in your body. Watch the story trying to form in your mind. Do nothing and feel it begin to dissolve under the weight of your silence. That is your first step. That is the only step that matters. Now, begin.
The war is over. The fighting has stopped. You came here looking for a better sword, for a stronger shield, but you are leaving with the knowledge that you need neither. Remember this. Your obsession with solving was the problem. You will now observe, not absorb. Emotions are data, not directives. You will drop the story and face the fact. Your stillness is your strategy. You will stop watering the weeds and let the world be wrong about everything. You will do this by building an unbreakable core through discipline. This is the peaceful mind formula. It is not a trick. It is a transformation. The knowledge is now yours. The formula is in your mind. But knowledge without action is useless. It is a forgotten book on a dusty shelf. So your challenge is this. The next time a problem arises today, a stressful email, an annoying comment, a moment of anxiety, do nothing. Do not react, do not analyze, do not solve. For just 30 seconds, simply observe it. Watch it with detached curiosity, and feel it begin to dissolve under the weight of your silence.